Hey everyone, welcome to Reality TV. This is Delilah, your host. Paige DeSorbo went on the Giggly Squad podcast and said some things that are very clearly not happening in a vacuum. And when you put them alongside everything going on with Craig Conover on Southern Charm right now, the message becomes pretty impossible to miss. Let's get into all of it. So first, a little context for the Southern Charm situation because it is very relevant to what Paige is saying. This season, Vanita Aspen repeatedly tried to warn her friend, Sally Carson, not to date Craig Conover. Sally went ahead and pursued him anyway. Craig then ended things with Sally and turned around and pointed the finger at her like she was the problem. Then Sally tried to warn her friend Charlie Manley about Craig, and Charlie decided to date him too. And of course, Craig then had that wild, drunken van blow-up where he called Sally a loser and told her to shut the you-know-what up in front of the whole cast. Throughout the season, Craig has faced accusations of spinning narratives and gaslighting his co-stars. Multiple women, multiple instances, same pattern. Now here comes Paige on the Giggly Squad podcast. She talked about how women on reality TV will trust a man simply because he is slightly good-looking, and she said the rate at which that happens is kind of crazy. She described a very specific scenario that sounds a lot like what viewers have been watching play out on Southern Charm. She said, you could have 4 women line up and each one say he did this, this, and this to me. And the other women co-sign it and say, yes, and he also did this to me. And still, somehow, the response from others would be that the women provoked him, that they were asking for it. That is not a general observation. That is a very pointed and specific description of a pattern that Craig's co-stars and ex-girlfriend have experienced this very season. Being dismissed or blamed even when multiple people are saying the same thing about the same person. Hit the like button if you have watched this exact dynamic play out on Southern Charm and felt the frustration of it. But Paige did not stop there. She then got more personal. She talked about getting hate from people specifically because she broke up with someone. She said the double standard is exhausting. She gets criticized for staying with someone too long, and then she also gets criticized for breaking up with them. She said she could not have won either way. She said if she had stayed with him, people would have been mad, and now that she has broken up with him, people are still mad. And then she got really direct about it. She said, it is just automatically a woman's fault. She said at the end of the day, it is always going to be the woman who gets blamed because it is just easier to put it on women. And then she said something that hit. She said, women can take it more. The men cannot. Now, while Paige did not say Craig's name out loud, the context here is very clear. Paige and Craig dated for 3 years and broke up. She has faced public criticism both for staying in that relationship and for leaving it. She is on her own show now. She has a new relationship. She is moving forward, and she is still being pulled into the narrative. Everything she said on that podcast maps directly onto the reality she has lived personally and onto what fans are watching play out with Craig and the Southern Charm cast right now. And the fact that she said it publicly on her own platform to her own audience without naming names but with zero ambiguity about what she was referencing, that feels intentional. That feels like a woman who is done being quiet about something. Honestly, I think what Paige said here is one of the more thoughtful and real things to come out of the Bravo world in a while. She's not just venting, she is naming a structural problem that plays out over and over again in reality TV and in life. Multiple women say the same thing, and somehow it still comes back to the women being the problem. Do you think Paige was clearly talking about Craig? And do you agree that women get blamed no matter what choice they make? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed so you never miss the tea. See you in the next one.